What if the most important human ancestor in history has never been found? Not the famous fossils from Europe or the frozen genomes of Siberia, but a ghost. A phantom population of Neanderthals who left no skulls for our museums, yet their DNA is pulsing through your veins right now. They are the missing link in the very blood that makes you who you are today. For decades, we've been told a story of victory. We were told that modern humans marched out of Africa and simply replaced the archaic Neanderthals. But that story is a lie, or at least a massive oversimplification. The famous 2% Neanderthal DNA found in your genome is just a smoking gun. It suggests that the replacement was actually a deep, prehistoric merger. Imagine the Levant 60,000 years ago, the gateway between Africa and Eurasia. In this rugged landscape of cedar and frost, a hunter stands in the mouth of a limestone cave. He is tall, with a weathered face and deep-set, intelligent eyes. He looks human, yet his frame is more powerful than any modern athlete. He is our ghost, a hunter belonging to a lost southern lineage. This man is a bridge. He belongs to a population that lived in the contact zone for over 100,000 years. He isn't a classic Neanderthal, nor a pure Sapiens. He is the result of a long-term exchange of genes and ideas. Because his people were so similar to us, their genetic contribution often remains invisible, hidden within the background of normal human variation. When scientists say you are 2% Neanderthal, they are comparing you to distant relatives from Siberia or Croatia. This is like trying to understand your own family history by looking at a distant cousin from a different continent. The ghost population of the Middle East was much closer to us. Because of this similarity, much of their DNA is mislabeled as modern. This means the 2% figure is a massive underestimate. We are looking at a masterpiece through a keyhole. The parts of the Neanderthal genome that made them social, intelligent, and resilient have been absorbed so completely that they no longer look foreign. The genome is not a battlefield where one side won. It is a manuscript where the ink of different tribes has bled together. In the freezing reality of the Paleolithic, survival didn't care about our modern labels. A hunter in the Zagros Mountains didn't see a different species. He saw a neighbor who knew where the ibex hid during a blizzard. He saw a partner who knew how to heal wounds with willow bark. The biological cliff we imagine between species was actually a long, gentle slope. Geography was the ultimate architect of this union. The Middle East was a human laboratory where every branch of humanity could meet. During warm periods, sapiens moved north. During ice ages, Neanderthals moved south. For 100,000 years, this ebb and flow created a cycle of contact that blurred the lines of identity until a new kind of human emerged from the mist. The unsequenced ghost matters because we are reconstructing the most important part of our story from cousins, not the source. If the real donor group had its own mixture history and was closer to us than the Siberian fossils, our estimates are distorted. What we see as sapiens DNA might actually be the ancient legacy of these forgotten southern Neanderthals. If we look at the fossils we do have, like those from Untold Cave, we see the ghost's shadow. These individuals were nearly 180 centimeters tall. Their brains were the largest of any fossil human, yet their features were refined and gracile. They were moving toward us, anatomically and genetically, long before the major expansion into Europe and the rest of Asia. Consider the cave of Shanidar in the Zagros Mountains. Here, we find skeletons that possess tropical body proportions in a cold mountain range. This contradiction only makes sense through mixture. These were people who inherited heat-adapted traits from Africa and cold-adapted resilience from Eurasia. They were the first true Eurasians, the original hybrid frontier population. The old replacement model assumed sapiens were a superior force that wiped out the locals. But the archaeological evidence tells a different story. The stone tools and hunting methods were often identical between the groups. They hunted the same animals, used the same pigments for art, and buried their dead with the same reverence. There was no revolution, only a slow fusion. This hybrid population was stronger and more genetically diverse than any isolated group. They carried the technological traditions of two worlds. When they finally expanded into the far reaches of Eurasia, they didn't succeed because they were purely modern. They succeeded because they were a composite population, better equipped to handle the shifting climates of the Ice Age. The end of the Neanderthals was not a simple species extinction caused by an invasion. It was a lineage turnover within a broader human continuum. One mixed population, born in the Middle Eastern crucible, expanded at the expense of more isolated branches. The conquerors of northern Eurasia were already hybrids before they arrived at the edges of the retreating ice sheets. To understand the soul of this ghost population, we must look at the bones of a man known as Shanidar I. He survived a massive blow to his head that left him blind in one eye. His right arm was withered and amputated at the elbow. In a brutish world, he should have died instantly. Yet, he lived to be an old man. This is a story of deep compassion that defies our stereotypes. His tribe cared for him. They carried him through mountain passes and pre-chewed his food when his teeth failed. They saw value in his memory and his spirit. Another burial at the site was found covered in pollen from medicinal wildflowers like yarrow and cornflower. This wasn't a primitive disposal. It was a ritual of love. These were people with a deep understanding of nature. Imagine a sapiens woman meeting a man from a tribe like this. They share a fire to survive a week-long storm in a limestone cleft. They find common ground in their struggle against the ice. The children born from these encounters were the ones who truly conquered the world. They were the bridge that allowed humanity to cross from the tropical sun into the eternal frost. The Neanderthals of the Levant didn't go extinct. They were absorbed. When a river flows into the ocean, the river doesn't die. It becomes part of something larger. Their lineages were swept up into the massive expansion of the hybrid human population. By the time we reached the far corners of the Earth, we were already a composite species, the children of the Great Fusion. This absorption explains why the search for a single cognitive difference has become so frustrating for researchers. If Neanderthals were a failed species, we should see a clear reason for their death. But every test shows their brains were large and their hunting was sophisticated. They didn't vanish because they were inferior. They vanished because they were folded into us. What did this ghost actually give us? It wasn't just junk DNA. The genes we inherited from this mixture helped shape our immune systems, allowing us to survive new pathogens in Eurasia. They gave us traits for skin pigmentation and blood clotting, essential for life in high latitudes. They gave us the genetic flexibility to survive a world that was constantly and brutally changing. Perhaps more importantly, they gave us a different way of thinking. The Neanderthal brain was focused on visual cortex and spatial awareness. By merging with them, we didn't just get their bodies, we got their perspective. We became a species that could imagine the future while remembering the deep past of the landscape. We became the masters of the Ice Age world. The silence of the fossil record is not proof of absence, it is a challenge. The ghost population is waiting to be found in the caves of Iran, Turkey, or Arabia. Until then, we must look in the mirror. Our resilience, our capacity for violence, and our extreme compassion are the legacy of that ancient union. We are the living evidence of a 100,000-year-old love story. The missing Neanderthal is not a footnote in a textbook. It is the key to understanding why we are the way we are. It is a reminder that even when a people vanish from history, they can still shape the future of the entire world. We are the descendants of those who refused to stay apart. We are the ghosts of the Ice Age, walking and breathing in a modern world. The story of the ghost Neanderthal teaches us that diversity is our greatest strength. Every time two different groups of humans met and merged, we became more resilient. The idea of a pure lineage is not only a myth, it is an evolutionary dead end. Our success was never built on purity or the destruction of the other, but on our incredible capacity for absorption. We have spent centuries trying to find the single spark that made us special, the one mutation that separated us from the beasts. But the truth is more humbling and beautiful. What made us special was our ability to see ourselves in those who were different. Our evolution was a collaborative effort, a shared struggle against the cold and the dark of a prehistoric world. As we sit in our modern world, surrounded by technology, we still carry the echoes of the Levant. We still carry the ghost. We are a species of survivors, born from the melting pot of the Ice Age. The Neanderthals didn't disappear. They assimilated. They became us. We are the final version of a story that began in the caves of the Middle East so many millennia ago. If we finally sequence the genome of this southern ghost tomorrow and discovered that we are actually 10% or 20% Neanderthal in the ways that truly matter, our emotions, our soul, our grit, how would that change your understanding of being human? Would you feel like a winner or a survivor? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's explore our shared mystery together.